Oh, God. Please stop.
Who's doing that?
That was me.
Oh, God.
Freak. That's fucked up.
What happened?
Beaches is doing like some weird ASMR right now.
I won't edit it into the beginning. This episode, I got a complaint last time we did it.
It's Alex!
Episode 196, A View from 202. Well. Decision day has come and gone, and there's really only one thing to say about it. Never in doubt. Mm-hmm. Up the Geos, into the playoffs with a last-minute dagger.
There was no decision to make.
No decisions to make. It was a foregone conclusion, basically. Just had to trot out there and just really deliver the final blow, final nail in the coffin to the wretched Sport Ball FC.
I'm really glad that our transfer documents for you and Pat got caught in fax machine drama.
It's fun. Yeah, it's funny how the fax machines just break during daylight savings, huh?
Yeah.
But made you sweat there. But yeah, that's right. GeoGuessr's into the playoffs. Really getting a great revenge victory over Sport Ball FC. It's pretty much how you'd write it.
It was beautiful.
Tell us about the goal and how it came to be.
Yeah, not gonna lie, feeling extremely pleased with myself today. Just this whole week, probably. So now that I've done it, I guess scoring goals. It's easy. Playing forward, it's easy.
Is it as easy as it looks?
Yeah,
as a
it's
fan?
actually no. It's easier. Peaches, I don't know what you're doing up there. Patrick Clement, don't know what you're doing up there. Just fucking put me in, Gerhard. It's really just hit it once, far post, cheese, easy.
To be fair, this game I had injury trouble, so
yeah,
You did have a strategic injury game stoppage.
that was 0% gamesmanship.
What happened to your injury?
Someone took a shot and I got in the way, and the way that I happened to be was the nads.
Oh, okay.
Straight in.
Nice.
100%
I thought it was your head. The way you fell, it was very confusing.
I immediately crumpled over and the ref just came to me and patted my back.
You crumpled over in the middle of the whole play. Like the guy shot it, deflected off of you. He had another chance almost, and then you just were there. And he was.
I
just had to stop.
I
took a ball directly in the eye a few weeks ago and didn't bring it up on the show in a very Roy Keane, Graham Souness fashion. Didn't make a stink about it.
No, I'm one of the millionaire footballers with tattoos.
Yeah, exactly. I'm more old school.
Peaches getting injured just walking is a recurring theme on this show, or before we even started our season.
I'm the Christian Pulisic of GeoGuessr,
Who is that?
He's the guy who's constantly
Does he play soccer?
injured.
Does he get injured?
Yeah.
He's a Croatian youth international.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought he was like a secession character or something.
Oh, yeah.
Did you bring the cup?
Funny story about the cup.
Sounds like you should have brought a different kind of cup.
This is true. There was a joke made when I said that when I recovered from my injury that I'm ready next dead ball, and then someone laughed.
Oh, wow.
At least you got to laugh.
I did not mean it that way, but
yeah, this is why you gotta just carry through. You gotta come off. I came off thinking I was just gonna fall apart. I wasn't even out of breath. I can just tell I'm getting closer to 30 because I was just in immense generalized pain for some reason, and then ran back on, scored the winner for us. So I don't know. This is why you got to complete your runs. It was a huge through ball from Lud to really ice it. But really the most exciting part was that I got to do 2 flick-ons, not just one, but 2 flick-ons. And on the second one, the first one, of course, hit you right in the chest and you lost it. But next time, next week, for that situation, especially since I feel like 7-a-side, the other team's not expecting a midfielder to flick the ball on. That's what I'm going to do. I'm telling you right now. Go ahead and run the channel for it.
I'm
going to go for it.
Already making the run in my head.
Second time, though, the most pleasing part was before it even came down, the other team was screaming, watch the flick on. And I was like, that's right. you know it already. It's already coming. I kind of mishit that one. That was pleasing.
We played without any pressure, without any doubt in our mind. No stress of it being a must-win game, mostly because I don't think any of us realized
the locker room energy is so good right now.
Well, I mean,
nobody realized we actually qualified for the playoffs until after the game.
Yeah, the gaffer kept our head straight. He didn't let us be watching other results or anything. We just got to take care of our business.
Yep.
And that's the mindset that carried us through.
When the ref blew the final whistle, he said, "Congrats, that goal got you into the playoffs." And I thought he was taking the piss because they thought everyone made playoffs. But no,
I know. I feel like we all just kind of started saying that from the beginning of the season without any knowledge.
I think we just didn't realize there were 6 teams. We thought there were 4
in the playoffs. But,
we binned sports ball out of the playoffs, right?
I just assumed that everyone has as complicated of a playoff setup as MLS. So
yeah,
right.
Speaking of which, I think the Red Bulls are in the playoffs as well, which is also never in doubt.
Are those starting soon?
No, they're not. Yeah. Really. Once again, we're in another international break. So if you thought Decision Day was exciting, well, that's irrelevant. Because you gotta
look,
sit on your ass for 2 weeks.
Fortunately, you'll have plenty of GeoGuessr updates next week.
Right.
That's true.
For just for all of the fans dying to know how we do in the playoffs.
That's our Patreon content. Actually, is our GeoGuessr.
We can do a teaser though.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess it gives us time to plan our Atlantic City, Philadelphia trip. In the meantime, though,
Atlantic City for soccer research. I mean,
yeah, obviously to set up a new NISA club
to replace Detroit. We're gonna
Well, actually, yeah,
we're gonna start the soccer. We're gonna move the soccer revolution from Detroit to Jersey Shore.
We were gonna go to NISA, but then we won promotion to USL2 this last weekend or yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
So, obviously. But
who says the pyramid is dead?
1-1 against Nashville. You guys talked about the other games previous episode, right? What's going on this show?
Who knows?
We botched transfer with you and Pat.
Okay.
We didn't talk about Atlanta and we didn't talk about Nashville. That we left it at that.
Okay.
We basically said we'll talk to you in the postseason.
Let's merge the two together, shall we?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. You tell me. I couldn't really.
Okay, so there is an important update, as Sam brought up, about the cup. I did bring it to the Atlanta game. Unfortunately, it could not harness the chaos energy.
We didn't lose.
There's a lot of energy, obviously, because we dominated the game. Yeah. The cup was glowing. Also, so powerful. But
I have to say, I called it. That we would start at 4 in the back against Atlanta. Out of nowhere, just me and Gerhardt on the same.
Was it out of nowhere? Wasn't somebody sort of?
It wasn't because Gutman couldn't play.
Yeah, that's it. There you go.
But definitely just you and Gerhardt.
Well, I think it was also because they switched to a 4 in the back at some point in the game before. But
also Andrew Gutman couldn't play.
Right.
For contractual reasons.
Yeah.
That's confirmed. That makes sense. Omir was still hurt.
Yes.
He wasn't there. So Fabio started underneath Patrick, right?
Can I get the most important news out of the way? We're bearing the lead here. I left the cup at RBA.
Oh my God, really? You left the cup?
Yeah. I just kind of, in my disappointment after that game, forgot it.
Well, there's no scenario where there will be another game in Red Bull Arena in 2021, right?
True.
So...
Yeah, we're in the clear.
Is there anyone in the West with a worse record where we can host MLS Cup?
RSL is the only other team with 48 points. I think they have more wins than us. So no.
Okay, so
But this is like when you hear the stories of there was a construction crew building, the new Sevilla stadium, and a Real Betis fan buried a Betis scarf in the foundations. This is our version of that. You've cursed us You've cursed the ginormous, huge, prestigious, 3-time league winning Red Bulls club to a future futility. Fucking dare. This club that is never really experienced any hardship and has only brought joy to fans in 8 of the last 10 years since the arena broke in. And now we're going to be bad because you've cursed us.
Right, because of arbitrary.
Did you
on the team
leave it as like a sacrificial like tribute?
No, I just kind of forgot about it on my way out.
I was trying to
Okay.
I was trying to throw you a light.
Enough of
light
this.
vest.
Omir was hurt again, so Fabio started up top. Did Caden Clark start this game? Refresh my memory.
Yes.
Talk me through this game. This is I was in imposed exile upstate for this game, so I did not watch it really in too much detail. I watched the end. So 4 in the back. How did that affect us going forward? Did we really dominate this game?
I mean, I think that like there was no response from Atlanta. If like that, like if you would call that a domination, yeah, absolutely.
They were playing for a draw from like the 7th minute.
Yeah, like they had nothing. They couldn't bring anything up through the midfield. They really didn't have very many chances. I think there were like a few at the very end.
Joseph wasn't playing.
Yeah, Martinez was out.
He came in as a sub. But
and so like and you know, there were a lot of points where like their defense looked really shaky, like very flimsy. It was, you know, enough to you know, be very frustrated that we didn't I think get the result you know, that accurately represented how we played.
We had definitely generated enough chances to have scored that game, but you know, it just went the way it did.
Just a lack of finishing.
Kind of, I think, a little bit. We looked a lot better in the midfield, I thought, playing 4 in the back. Or like, I don't know how much Atlanta was just not playing at all, but we did not suffer at all in defensive structure at all for it.
I mean, Clark starting was, you know, kind of a difference maker. It was kind of clear how much you can chalk up the last few months of kind of committing to Carmona to Clark being kind of crocked since the appendectomy is sort of something that us as, you know, just outsiders would never be able to know. I mean, we have no idea what Clark's fitness levels were the last few months, but it's pretty clear that now that he is fit, that there really isn't any reason that Carmona should be starting over him in those kinds of roles right now. Not only does Clark, you know, just purely have a more multifaceted game all the way down to having, you know, being able to use his other foot and kind of open his body up more than Carmona does, but just generally, you know, plays a little more fluid, a little more confidently with and without the ball. And the difference, you know, kind of showed in this game. I mean, even, you know, it kind of carried over from the end of the Montreal game where he was just both from his off-ball movement and just kind of being decisive and clean with the ball, that he just linked final third play together so much more than we've been used to in the later part of this year. And, you know, that's, you know, not to use a curse word, but difference maker kind of performance in this game. So,
well, did that carry forward to Nashville? Is my next question. Because
yeah, I mean, there really wasn't. Yeah. I mean, Atlanta was kind of, I mean, unless you want to go into the granular, like, I guess we hit the post a couple times. It wasn't that much.
Atlanta was very much Brad Guzan tapping the head of one of his defenders for the whole game.
The only other thing I want to mention about Atlanta before we talk about Nashville, because I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about with Atlanta, but I mean, I felt incredibly frustrated that we didn't make a substitution until like the 85th minute.
That was weird. That is the other topic.
And so, like, in addition to, like, so there's that, because Struber was out for yellow card accumulation because he ran down the touchline to celebrate. Worth it. Like, I don't care. That was awesome. But we had Carnell, and then who was the Eibler? How old is he? Like 26?
27.
Damn.
Yeah. He would be the baby of this podcast.
Yeah, he would. Like, that's fucked up. Don't say that.
Well, I was, you know, like, I was scouting him as, you know, potential head coach for GeoGuessr, but I don't know if his substitute decisions were really up to par for.
Yeah, he needs a few more years to come up to our league.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, the issue I have with this sub, I mean, like, first of all, no subs till the 84th, and then he also subbed off Klamala, who, like, couldn't even play in
Next game,
Nashville.
yeah.
Like if anything, take off Fabio, who could use. I mean, like whatever 10 minutes rest is, but like if you're toward the end of a game, if you're gassed, like it can still help. But not only that, he also looked like the worst of the two against Atlanta, because he was playing in that like kind of like central 10 role, and he looked completely lost. I thought he had a really bad game in that role. I love to see,
which I disagree with.
Okay, well, I think I don't know, you were in the minority.
No, I just don't think I don't think it was that bad. I think it was, like not a good game, but I think he did a lot of stuff that he wouldn't have been able to do if we were playing 3 in the back.
I think that if we had somebody who was like adequately suited to play in that role, we would have scored like 3 goals.
Maybe, but I don't know. The way that like things are just hitting boots that game, I don't know how.
He just didn't seem like comfortable or in like a good, like I don't know. It felt very frustrating to watch him in that role. Either regardless, I mean, if we were to make a sub, I would have assumed it would have been there and it would have been earlier. So I think that was incredibly frustrating. I don't know, that part of me just wonders like what Fabio's role is if it's not spearheading the attack or playing alongside Klimala, because I think he's a lot better in those 2 roles. I think a great example of that obviously is the Nashville goal, and other chances that he did create at the tip of the attack. But he looked, I thought, really bad in that like central attacking midfield type role that he often like lined up in against Atlanta.
But yeah, it was definitely weird that there were no subs. It was very much like Chris Armis's first game at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
When, how much of it is just like, I don't know, being kind of deer in the headlights and sort of lost in the moment, and how much of it is just like, I don't know, like I tried to maybe pry at Struber a little bit, like not hard, but like that, saying, was there anything that Eibler and Carnell did different that you might not have in this game? And he was just he kind of brushed it off, but I was kind of like, I don't. Struber's definitely trigger happy with subs and likes to make adjustments early in half. I don't know how much of it was just like that he didn't, like he gave them instructions like, don't make any subs, don't rock the boat for my plan, or like, Eibler not being confident enough to make a call.
You'd think there'd be enough experience on that bench where somebody would, Carnell or somebody else would have an eye on the clock and be like, oh, hey, by the way, like,
we're allowed
time
to do this.
But yeah, I would have thought that they had a meeting day before, day of, that would have been fairly detailed
with like contingency plans for subs and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but I am thinking about it a little bit and looking at the substitute bench and kind of the way that we were playing. I don't know if maybe it was just a move to not disrupt the flow that we might have had going a little bit in developing a rhythm.
I mean, occasionally you do get games like that, right, where it's like things are technically kind of working, just not for the final touch. And I could see maybe being an assistant, you're like, okay, well, Gerhard did say he wants to prioritize this for first and foremost, and this is kind of working, so I could see maybe it happening then, but I still would have thought there would have been more fastidious contingency planning. But
the people you're bringing in are Tom Barlow and Danny Royer, and you're taking.
I mean, that's how it always is.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
yeah, that's never stopped anyone before.
But you're taking out, like, I feel like someone like Klimala or Fabio who could have been a bit hot.
Well, we did end up eventually subbing Clark off for Carmona, right? Which I don't know if, that didn't feel like the totally right decision. But I mean, it was so late in the game that it didn't
really affect anything.
We should really commit to a full-on semaphore system from the coach box that Gerhard had to be in down to the bench. If not a full-on Bobby Valentine mustache situation. That, I don't know.
And Gerhard doesn't even have any hair to cover up or anything. He could put some makeup and stuff on.
We should just hire like 4 other bald guys to just stand
Like
around
Saddam
the thing.
Hussein.
Yeah. So then the ref, if they're like looking over the bench, they'll be like, "Oh, is Struber here?" Even though, no, I don't know. There's just a crowd of those guys. I don't know. I guess that's
I'll
just a
volunteer to
thing.
be one of them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just that's Ben Cork down at the bench. That's not Gerhard Struber of Jeopardy fame, but I think we should really engage in such kind of hoodwinks. In my opinion, it would be that extra edge to really get us there. But the Fabio thing maybe it's not so much a story about Fabio and his limitations, but like surprising that he's our second option there. You know, I would have thought even with Omir gone, you know, repeating a theme that's been said, I think, a lot this season. You know, we like Omir, but he's not that unique. He's not that, you know, once in a lifetime kind of player. It's funny that we don't have another player on the squad that can do just like a similar, even if not as good version of that role.
I guess they either think of Amaya as a much deeper player or they just don't trust him outright.
It's got to be the latter. I feel like it's the latter.
Like, because like especially in his highlight reel from Cincinnati, which yes, I didn't actually watch him ever in Cincinnati. I'm going off YouTube highlights of another player who was in MLS, but he was, you could see him like getting into the final third and penetrating and making dribbles and taking guys on, like, you know, Omir kind of adds to the game. And I guess they just, they don't see him in that role. I guess they really like Cáceres on this right side role. Because otherwise, I think putting him in that central role not only keeps him closer to goal to have him do his, you know, try shit near the goal game, but it also playing it. I think it would be interesting to see Cáceres in that role, both playing as a 10 to do the Tim Cahill stuff, but then also to like when play isn't going directly towards the box. I feel like his tendency is to drop deeper and kind of quarterback in the final third, which I think would suit his game and he would be really good at, and it would free up kind of the sixes like Davis and Yearwood to sort of spread out and penetrate in those half spaces a little bit. And I guess I'm kind of just going off a little deep into sort of fantasy land now, but I just like, I don't know why Cáceres isn't being considered in that role. I mean, it's not even like you're turning him into a defensive midfielder there.
Right.
You're still prioritizing his attacking play like Struber has wanted to do this year. So just food for thought.
Yeah, and if you were to do that, then, you know, and with a healthy Omir and then Clark, I think they can both play a little wider, which they both seem to prefer anyway.
Right.
So then you could have, like, to me, that would be like the ideal kind of like attacking midfield trio. You know, with whichever striker above.
Because I mean, it does seem that Struber is frustrated with what he's getting out of Fabio in this spot on the field too, right? Like it seems like he's often frustrated with his touch and his first move and first instinct. So it's really sort of baffling.
The instinct to play him is, you know, in comparison to the other options.
But I think, as we're saying, like the other options, like either Clark, Cáceres, you know, maybe Amaya's still not trusted, or like also in a way,
I was gonna
like,
say that Wiki Carmona, we kind of saw him try that a little bit and he didn't really work, and in a way that I think was arguably worse than how Fabio's been playing. And you know, I think maybe with the options he sees at his disposal and like what he's seen in practice, it's just like Fabio's playing that role better than these guys.
I feel like Carmona's played more in that right side.
Yeah, he plays wider.
Yeah, I mean he does, but
I get the sense that I feel like most of the times he was playing, especially, you know, in the middle of the summer, he was not being told to do what Omir had been told to do. You know, he was doing something slightly different. But I don't know. I mean, presumably we'll learn about this, you know, not immediately soon, but soonish, if we sign some players, don't bring some players back in the off season. But I would be shocked if we're seeing Fabio here and playing in that position next year, you know, like that would be really unusual. So I think it'll either be somewhere else, or Fabio, if he's still here, will be further up the pitch doing something else.
Like he was on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I do think it is telling that he's, I think, much more effective as a lone striker up there.
Yeah.
Beautiful touch and kind of turn to finish that first goal in Nashville. And just regret we couldn't keep the pressure on. I feel like the goal we conceded in Nashville was very superficially similar to the last game we played against Philadelphia at home, where we just kind of gave up a set piece kind of close and ultimately it wasn't a total breakdown of our defensive shape. We kind of just lapsed in like a ugly down moment. But that said, given the kind of chances that Nashville was putting or threatening in the second half, it might even out. Where like maybe Nashville kind of on aggregate deserved a goal anyway. So I think it was a fair result.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that to play the way we did against a team that hadn't lost a game at home all season, I think it was really impressive. The goal that we got in 35 seconds was great. The one we conceded was frustrating because I thought that it was, if it didn't deflect off of Fabio's head, that could have been savable. It was, kind of frustrating to watch that.
Twellman's breakdown of that.
Too.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. He was saying on the broadcast that
he got treated like a corner.
So just have him on the near
like
post.
Why weren't we treating it like a corner? And I was like, it was also kind of nice. I mean, like Twellman acts a fool in a lot of different ways, but like usually during games, it was like John Champion, I guess, was like sort of like chiding him, like making fun of him. He's like, why are you like rewatching that clip over and over again? And that's when he went into that spiel about like, I don't understand why they did this. And it just felt really refreshing to have a color commentator who's like just gets
explaining
engrossed into the game, being like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah.
And like, which was nice, that's not to pump up Twellman too much, but like as a color commentator, he's actually pretty decent, I think. But
agreed. Yeah. But despite that happening, there were a couple other moments where it did look like Nashville was going to, even score another one.
Yeah.
Fabio had a great save. He had a couple good saves.
Cornell.
No, yeah.
It'd be sick if
Carlos Miguel.
Carlos Miguel.
C. Miguel.
Yeah.
I'm just still thinking about how Fabio deflected the ball.
Yeah. C. Miguel feels like it'll be a like DJ at RBNY in like a year or so after Alex Sensation.
I was gonna say Alex Sensation and C. Miguel.
C. Miguel.
Opening for C. Miguel.
C. Miguel held it down though, other than the goal that went in. And then from the other side of things, we had chances too. Omir's ball or shot right off the post. It was like a great
Yuba
example.
almost got a penalty. Should have got a penalty.
Yeah.
Yuba actually, we had like a little last gasp there of like of some breaks in on goal, like maybe some like 2-on-2s situation towards the end after being on the rope, and I think it might have been Yuba's doing. It might have been a little Diarra-sance that we had at the end of this game here for 10 minutes. He looked a little fresh, I think.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes tuned. If Yuba starts the playoff game and wins, it would be...
Yuba starting the playoff game would be so much better. A version of when Struber parachuted in for the playoff game last year. Like just wait all this time, all this, just kind of cautiousness, and then boom.
I can just imagine like Jim Curtin just like throwing a chair against the wall. Like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Like, how was I supposed to prepare for this? Little do we know, this is as we all know, as our former president laid out, there's a finite amount of energy that we all have,
right?
And so Yuba's going to be able to spend all of it in this playoff run. So beautiful.
Well, that's the same thing with every missed one-on-one we've had. We've gotten all the bad ones out of the way.
That's true. Prime efficiency, I have to say,
and still made it somehow in the end, in the dying embers of the season.
Yeah. Tell me about Clark in this game, though. I mean, was it as big of a difference as in the Montreal and Atlanta games to have him out there?
I just think that Clark's touch is pretty good compared to a lot of players, and then that helps his counter pressing a lot. He seems to manage to hold possession when we're breaking, but also, like as we're saying, like he plays a little faster than someone like Wiki, or like he sees runs and plays people in faster. So I mean, like he's just adding a little bit of speed to our transition play, as well as I think just like our counter press in general. He's a lot smarter about the triggers and stuff.
I think specifically in this game there, right in the Fabio goal, you see where he and Caceres kind of combine, in between the lines, and then break Caceres free down the right. And he just does Caceres stuff and throws it into Fabio. But like, yeah, Clark being able to run into those spaces is something that I don't think Carmona provides. And, just having the mobility and unpredictability in the final third is as important as anything. I guess in that way, he is the closest replication to the Omir role, which wasn't even really a role that existed until Omir randomly got played in the Hell rotation of August. But either way, Clark does bring that kind of verve to the play that we don't get from some of the other combinations that have been tried late this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like that example of like how he like had gotten the ball and was able to dish it out to Caceres on the right for the goal. I feel like that's a very good example of like how Clark is supposed, like Clark plays that type of role really well. If like sometimes like against Atlanta, Fabio was asked to play that type of role and didn't do a very good job. But when Fabio was up, in that kind of attacking spot, I think he had a lot of great runs. And I think he did a really good job of being in the right place. Little, blunt on some of his touches and decisions. The goal is, very big counter to that. But I think that Clark could be that type of player in that, like, he could play centrally as well, which is another element that I really liked. When he played out wide, he did a great job too, I think, to Peach's point, holding, being able to hold possession, great touch, very selective with his pressing. What's what Struber said about the running?
Dirty running?
No dirty running, which I felt like was the case for a lot of our players. In the when we were selectively pressing in the midfield in the attacking third, but yeah, it was.
Clark is very aware of the shape of the rest of the team, and I think that he's very good about being economic with his sprinting. Yeah, and you see it like he's able to get back into positions really well, and he's always kind of like well positioned. And then once we're on the break, he's opening up and seeing between spaces in ways that we don't have other players. I mean, this is why he's valuable, I guess, and we're kind of seeing it come to fruition in a good time. And I think this is all part of Struber's brain melt. Amazing pacing of the season, where he knew that we had to get hot at the end of the season in order to finally win MLS Cup, right?
Kick it at their hands. It was important to get the goal. I mean, obviously it's like a dream start in any context to get a goal in the first minute, but it was an important time to score, both because our game plan and our tactics depend so much on the other team having to take risks and having to break out, but also it was probably the only time of the game in a 0-0 context where you'll probably catch a team like Nashville napping right off the kickoff, because I mean their back line was completely pulled apart on that play and not set. I mean, the guy, they play like kind of like a deep 3-5 man back line, and the guy who Fabio sombreroed for the goal was Miller, their left back. I mean, they were completely discombobulated. And I think in that sense, it was, the perfect kind of timing and context to get a goal. I don't know if we get an early goal in any other kind of state of the game, unless Nashville really fucks up. So in a game of that importance against a team like that, and with a team like ours being so kind of precarious on confidence sometimes, getting that goal was very crucial, and kind of made the rest of the game a lot more user friendly for the team, and luckily we were able to see it out.
Yeah, to that point, like, you know, I think we did a really good job even after the goal of just like controlling the game. Like we just like we clogged the midfield. I thought that Yearwood had a great game. Sean Davis had a great game as well. But they couldn't bring anything up. I think for like the next like what felt like 20-25 minutes at least, we were on the front foot. We were bossing a team around, you know, in their, you know, home stadium, looking very confident and comfortable, which I really enjoyed. I think it changed a little bit in the second half. I think it was very clear that we played a lot of games in the last few weeks. Players like Nealis got gassed, and you know, once Nashville threw on a bunch of forwards, we were kind of bending, not breaking, in that second half. But still a really good result overall.
I think games like that just end up happening regardless of, I don't know, like our fitness in the way that.
But Sean Nealis like looked. I think he looked more.
He just didn't look sharp.
Like he just looked gassed for the first time in a while. I feel like the last time that had happened was against City.
Nealis, the big kind of story was that Davis confirmed playing every single minute of the season after this game, but Nealis probably not far behind.
Yeah,
he got subbed. He got subbed like a couple. Oh wait, no, he had that injury stretch. Yeah. That's right. But like whenever he was fit, he was on the field every single minute. Yeah,
it is funny that Davis picked up a yellow this match, and since it was the last match of the season, I guess they have an amnesty for suspensions into the playoffs. So he just got fined instead. Perfect timing. Once again, really timing all of things exactly as we need them. Although it's funny, I mean, I know that they made the change in the World Cup a couple years ago to make it so you can't get a yellow to keep you out of the final. Although I didn't expect this kind of change. I mean, I feel like arguably you should just be suspended. Like, I don't know, but hey, I'm not complaining.
I don't like yellow card accumulation rules, like, period. I don't know, like,
yeah,
it's like, I don't know, like the whole idea. I mean, the whole idea of yellow card, it's like, yeah, you did something bad, but it's not that bad. It's not like a player picking up lots of yellow cards is not somebody cheating. Like, you know,
is there not a grace period in MLS?
There is, but I think it's like, I think you have to go a certain amount of games with like no yellows at all. Okay. Not like
whatever. I don't really care.
Whatever.
Yeah. Fabio, going back to his goal. I thought like that touch that he took was is like very smart forward touch to get into space, right? You know,
I disagree.
Oh, okay.
Are you like trying to convince us?
No.
That the goal was good.
Okay, I'm making a broader point. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. But you know, like if he takes that touch kind of further back in field, the defenders are going to be tighter on him, and that ball ends up kind of going to no man's land. So I think like it speaks to the fact that Fabio has not been playing to his strengths this entire season, and yet he's still been able to be productive in a way. You know.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure I lead GeoGuessr in fouls, so I do have to agree that yellow card accumulation is bad and dumb, but, you know.
I mean, that's what happened. You're playing as a rowdy target man at the top of the formation.
Fouls, saves, goals. What else do you need?
That's true, and I'm playing under Brit as the little 10.
Brit's doing all the dirty work for you
Brit's
to finesse.
The 9, yeah, exactly. The 10.
Mm-hmm. But it is funny that after all of this, we finished in 7th, which I think is fair. I tweeted that out on the podcast account. It's about right for how this season went. But like, we're really just a couple points here and there from being further up the table. I mean, this Eastern Conference table is so mids, so painfully meh, whatever.
Nobody was consistent except New England.
Well, you're saying that we were mathematically, like, it was possible for us to get second place like 2 weeks ago?
Until like one fixture ago, it was like possible for us to get, if Orlando's controversially, called off goal had stood, then if we had won out, we could have finished second, which we're, kind of close to doing. We're not that far away from doing. But the point of that is just to illustrate how tight this all is, not to say that we were wronged or whatever, you know?
Right.
But it's
not
sort of,
not everyone can be the Colorado Rapids.
yeah. My crank take about this game actually was that at around halftime, you know, the situation was that we were tied with Nashville, and then Nashville's only real thing to play for was vying for second with Philly. And Philly was a man up on City, and they had Gideon Zalem, who's playing for some reason, got sent off. And so Philly was up a man and up a goal. And I think if Philly had like just adequately put the game away and scored a goal or something, I think at halftime, with like enough time to play, Gary Smith is probably like, yeah, all right, lads, just like don't get hurt, you know, like don't overexert yourself. Don't want anyone, you know, tweaking something. Don't want anyone getting a red card or whatever. But once City got back into the game, I was like, oh, they're just, you know, they're not going to be scoreboard watching anymore. They're just going to be going for it. It's like, God damn it, Philly, good for nothing. Probably could have just cruised that game out.
And now we have to play them.
We'll get there. We'll get our revenge.
Yeah, so true. But I was just looking at the bench again, and I realized that the flip side to Sean Davis playing every single minute is that low key Danny Royer went this entire season without scoring a goal, which is not really shocking now that since we watched the season. I mean, it makes sense.
He was out for a while. Like,
yeah, but it's still crazy. You know,
yeah.
at the beginning of the season, I probably would have said, oh yeah, maybe he gets up to 40 because he's like a couple goals away from 40 or something. But
I mean, it was whenever he did come on, it was a talking point.
The fact
to mention that he hadn't scored in like a year.
Surprising is telling, I think. But I think also looking at just all these people trying to like reposting a lot of their predictions from at the beginning of the year, really the one thing you look for, I think, to compare is like, where's New England on everyone's? Because like New England's the only team really in the East that stands out. And I feel like looking at these, it highlights to me that like really nobody knew what the hell was going to go on in this league this year. And no one knows still.
Oh yeah, because last year was fake. I mean, right. Columbus won the title and then they were just butt this year. Yeah. Like, you know, even Philly. I mean, Philly won the Shield, and you know they had some good stretches, but yeah, they were part of just the muck in the East also. So yeah, no, there was no kind of equilibrium to the league last year to branch out from or to kind of base yourself in. Yeah. Not to take the heat too much off the people with their predictions earlier in the year.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But yeah, it's just been a very, I mean, even before COVID, I mean, 2019 was a very strange year in the league where no teams really had a lot of character to them. And, you know, it feels like that might be changing a little bit. I don't know. We'll see how long New England's window is. We'll see, you know, how we do, obviously, but then, I don't know. It seems like, I mean, there could be even more flux coming into the East. I mean,
if Bradley goes to TFC.
Well, there's that too. I mean, Columbus had their fall off. Orlando didn't really build on much this year after being kind of a splash with Perea in the COVID season. You know, it's all, I mean, I kind of touched on this for Once a Metro in my post-game column the other day that, you know, it really is kind of ours for the taking if we can stay on this trajectory and make some good improvements in the off season. It feels like a pretty wide open conference. I mean, I'm calling it the conference. It's the league now. The East is the league.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nashville's not even in our league anymore.
Yeah, Nashville got relegated. And we're in charge of the league next year. That's what it's got to be.
Yeah, I mean, because I think even just reflecting on our own predictions, listeners will know that we are all pretty bullish on the Red Bulls this season. You know, obviously that didn't come off for reasons that we explained over like 200 hours of episodes since then. But one thing that does hold true is exactly what we're saying. This was sort of a league for the taking this year, and the Revs did that. And yeah, I think, just co-sign with everything you just said, and excited to see another window for another midfielder or something to get in here. But first, We've got the playoffs. We've got
Playoffs.
splendid.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I just hope we can win more games.
We are going away to Philly, which, in my opinion, I don't really mind that at all. Short trip. I'm not that scared of Philly.
I wish I was told that we were playing Philly the same way that Drew Yearwood heard it,
How was that?
with a giant plate of
cookies and brownies.
on his lap, just a smile on his face, grin ear to ear, just
Nice.
munching on the brownie.
I love when the boys get treats when they do good things. Do you think they have like a plate of brownies after every match? Is that just like a carbo load
It
thing?
might be a carbo thing for recovery.
I like to think it's just a treat thing that like Gerhard was like, Bernd, bring in the treats we promised back in April.
He has a locked like trunk that he takes the team with him.
Yeah.
That it's transparent, so you can see all the treats in it and salivate. And it only gets opened up after a win.
Yeah.
It's like the dessert cart at the Rodizio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just bring it out for looking, and it's like, okay, we finally got the final trots
But
end
it's
of the
scary
season.
and
We can
German.
eat.
Most importantly.
It's probably spookish, probably.
But anyway, I'm not too scared of Philly. We've played them pretty tight this year. I mean, look, the 1-0 game in Chester feels like forever ago. I mean, we were both, I think, very different teams back then. And I do think that game was actually very, very much shaped by the fact that it was the first game that either of those teams had played in front of a crowd of any size in at least a year. It was still only like 50% capacity for COVID reasons, but it was still like much more than anything.
Literally the first Klamala game.
That's true.
We played well in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
it was that early Corey Burke goal that sort of put us behind the 8 ball, and then the Goodman got injured, I think. Whoever was playing left back, Duncan ended up having
Tarek,
Tarek was playing. That's right.
Honestly,
yeah.
I mean,
because that Goodman was injured before that.
And then the first goal really was created sort of by one of Tarek's adventures into the middle to try to head it away, I think. And then that kind of led to the imbalance and then that was the game where Duncan had a little bit of a mare. So I think in both mentally, tactically, physically, we were all just so different from where we are now in a lot of ways. Then the next game we played against them was sort of one of the turning points of the season, in my opinion.
I really feel like that
week,
that late Santos goal was the moment we got shook.
Yeah, we folded a little bit
for those couple months. Yeah,
I think that if we pull out that win,
right,
and then we even just pull out a draw against New England the next game instead of a loss, I think that the rest of the season looks different. As we said already, mathematically, it
even
changes
down
things.
to the table. Yeah,
like
But I'm even more in like a mood sense also.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like,
which is this is a good opportunity to actually mention Profe calling his shot though.
Oh God!
There was, in that game that DC and City played at RBA, like City scored a really last minute winner, in large part because DC did not play the ball into the corner, not once, but twice when they could have. And really, it was really last second. Like, it really would have killed the game. So Profe tweeted about this at the time, and I don't think he even tagged anyone. I think Julian Gressel, Steve Cangelotti's Ballon d'Or candidate every year, replied to him and was like, sorry, no, man, like, unless
we play to win.
Unless this point gets us into the playoffs, I play that cross 100% of the time. You got to win. Lo and behold, has missed the playoffs by 1 point. Profe was actually unnecessarily gracious. He was like, "Oh no, he's still right. You got to have a winning attitude." But we all see the record. We all see the receipts. So amazing. But yeah, I think that second Philly game is and I think that was a good example though as well of that's one of the more clear examples I think of like the young team versus a more seasoned team, because I think that Struber, Thelwell, a lot of people have been pointing that out this year, and a lot of times it's hard to notice discrete moments of it. But yeah, that's probably a good example of Philly having just a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more
it was also
time together as a team to kind of punch us in the mouth there. Yeah.
It was also a very didactic example of what the injury crisis was, or how the injury crisis was holding us back. in that middle of the summer, because the goal that Philly scored late in that game was literally Santos straight up out jumping Tom Edwards, having to play as a center back. And, you know, the fact that we're now actually a conventional backline again is a pretty obvious upgrade from the state that we were in then. And yeah, just generally the team is much more confident after the last couple months, much more, you know, able to visualize themselves seeing out games, as opposed to, you know, letting a team like Philly just throw stuff at them and, you know, nick a goal. And, you know, I don't know what Philly's, I mean, obviously it's not great, you know, like the rest of the East, like we were saying, is, but I don't know what Philly's form is like too much the last month or so.
They're two wins, 2 draws, and a loss.
So
Draws against City, Toronto, wins against Cincinnati and Nashville, and then a loss to Minnesota. Who, like, literally, what is Minnesota doing? Who knows? Nobody fucking knows. Nobody's been to Minnesota. That's ridiculous.
What is the West up to?
it's just another league. It's basically the Canadian Premier League.
Yeah, the Galaxy didn't make it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, God.
Yeah, neither LA team made it.
No. Yeah, no California,
No
or
California or
Texas.
Texas.
Wow. But the third game we played against Philly was the 1-1 game second game at RBA, which I think is the most forgettable of the bunch, at least for me, even though I was there. We conceded a goal to Santos again on a corner.
Which was just garbage. I mean,
There's not really that much to say about that one, is there?
It was just a weird little bounce.
It was frustrating because I felt like we were quite good defending set pieces, even during the injury crisis. I thought we were doing a decent job at it. And then something like that happens where I'm like, well, fuck. But then we strike back once through Amir to get a 1-1. And looking at the lineup for that game, I think that was early on into the sort of Davis-Yearwood pairing, where at the time, I don't think it had really emerged as like a confident trend yet, because we were kind of churning through a bunch of different midfield looks. And I think in the month or two since we played this game, Davis and Yearwood have really congealed as a duo, as a partnership in the midfield more. So I'm feeling good on that front as well. In that game, we also had Tolkien and Duncan playing out wide, and 3 center backs. With actually, Gutman was one of the center backs in that game, not even Edwards. So we did have sort of the typical. I mean, honestly, we have the lineup that I would expect us to play this coming game, which is the 5 in the back, Yearwood, Davis, Klimal up top with Omir and CCJ underneath him. It's kind of what I would expect. Maybe a Fabio appearance somewhere, but if all of those guys are healthy, I don't think, based on what we were saying earlier about the Atlanta and Nashville games, I don't think it makes sense to put Fabio in for either Omir or Cáceres. And Omir did play 15 minutes on Sunday, so presumably he'll be fit.
And we have time until this game.
Yeah, damn, we're gonna need to schedule like a scrimmage or something. Like, damn, 2 weeks.
Didn't Bruce say that?
Bruce, I mean, in New England's gonna have to be off for like a month. Colorado too. But,
so like we might, what if we win this game, we play a cold New England maybe?
No, we play Nashville or Orlando.
Oh yeah, is there reseeding?
Yeah, I thought it was reseeding, right? Is there?
I don't know. I've tried.
Oh, is it not? Is it reseeding?
I've been committing professional malpractice by not.
I don't know, dude. I don't give a fuck,
what
to be honest.
Format is. Yeah,
No, but I'd be looking forward to playing like
all these
maybe
teams
not
are
New England.
I mean, like we've been talking about too. Like all these East teams are on like the same level anyway.
Right,
so
exactly.
I'm not like extra scared or extra bullish about any team that we would face.
Right.
So,
See, I would,
except New England.
I would know,
but
how,
like every
how
time we
this
play
works.
New England's been close.
I would know how this works if I had done the MLS bracket challenge, and I would try to do it, but the website doesn't fucking work. It hasn't worked for 3
Don
fucking
Garber,
years.
Donnie,
Just
fix it.
Just does anyone know how
EA
fucking
Sports.
website works?
Got people locked and loaded.
The MLS website should look like Craigslist, all right?
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to
Geocities.
watch your stupid fucking videos. Nobody does, all right? This is why you people send desperate bait for all the biggest morons on Twitter to get mad about for the rankings. All right, you can't fool us. I won't visit your website again. I didn't for an entire year, and now that I know it still doesn't work, I'm not going to do it again. Actually, ever since I learned about FootMob, I haven't even opened the app.
Same.
So
Yeah.
absolutely, pivot to video. What is this? Fucking 2014. Anyway, what is the? Oh no, I know the qualification system, but what is the? See, I'm on Wikipedia trying to figure out if it reseeds or not. What is
Yeah, let's look one game ahead.
Yeah,
anyway.
I'm not even fussed.
I was just bringing it up, but
it says there's no reseeding, but it's in the past tense. So who fucking knows? Who fucking knows?
The whole thing's
Who
broken.
cares?
I don't know. I mean, I'm a little nervous about Philly. I just feel like they've always kind of like played that role in the recent past of just kind of like beating us in close games.
which is why we're playing with house money, though.
Yeah, which is part of the reason why I don't mind playing them in a way. Whereas, like, if we lose to them, I'm not going to be too mad about it.
been
Well,
there.
no, I get that part,
Because
but
there was a decent portion of Sunday where we were going to be set up to play City first round.
Which, yeah.
And I was like, ooh,
Nightmare, yeah.
I don't know. Like, this season, like, it's going to happen eventually. But, like, that's kind of the only stakes I'd have left to be mad about. And I feel pretty comfortable in, like, this whole house money mindset and everything. And I feel like, Sam, to your point, maybe, like, like, there's a very decent chance that we'd lose this game in a tough fight, which is kind of why a lot of the posts from the team account, about keeping receipts and stuff makes me think, like, all right, let's calm down a little bit. Like, we might play well, but still lose. Like, all right. But if it's Philly, I'm like, yeah, whatever. It's Philly. They beat us. So what?
that shit's so frustrating to me, though. I feel like I don't know. Yeah, part of me has this deep fear of like, okay, we play City in the playoffs, and then this is when they go and win the fucking cup. But like at the same time, they would absolutely dread playing us in the playoffs because we've had their number this season, and they have very low confidence in the team's ability, especially over the past couple of months, 2-3 months. But with Philly, like I mean, right now they're on a 5-game unbeaten streak at home. They've always kind of played well against us in the recent past. In terms of like looking at a matchup, like it's a frustrating one as a Red Bulls fan.
I think Brit's just afraid of nipples, like deathly afraid of. Yeah, like how Ronnie.
Oh, I mean, no, I'm disgusted by those nipples, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I really have a detailed or logical explanation for this, but I feel like I'm more comfortable playing City in a later round than first round.
Yeah, I agree.
First round, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. Later round, all right, let's get to it. Sure, fine.
I don't know.
First round is
Who are City playing in the first round?
Orlando.
Fucking get him, Oscar.
Yeah, they're gonna get it. That's when they did the
they?
Schlegel, penalty save.
Yeah, that's
thing.
right. Yeah, I'm gonna if the ref makes any foul calls on Nani, I'm going to call the Cheshire police.
City's playing. They're playing Atlanta. Nashville's playing Orlando.
Sorry.
And City Atlanta is good though. I mean,
That's
somebody's
true.
gonna get knocked out. Somebody who sucks.
They're just kind of garbage. They're just kind of junk teams, City and Atlanta at this point.
Yeah.
I am gonna call up though the guy who told Jackie Weaver she has no authority here to tell him Chris Penso.
Yeah.
You have no Mark Geiger. You have no authority here, none at all. I've read the minutes.
Read them and understand them.
The bylaws. Sorry, but.
From you down in Marietta, that's all right.
Look, if you don't know the recent lore on Cheshire council meetings, I don't know why I listen to this podcast. So, yeah, I'm happy to be playing Philly. I don't know. I guess, Sam and Peaches, you guys have said your piece about this partially. I don't know. How are you feeling about this this matchup with Philly?
We should. I would like us to win. I even though this is like kind of a dud season, I'm definitely not kind of. I guess I'm explaining that I'm not doomer about it. I'm not, oh, fuck the cup or any of that. I think the vibes are like pretty good right now. I think it would be very funny to win the cup this year, which is the most important thing. But I also just feel like, it really, I mean, Sean Davis kind of had a genuinely, kind of good little take on it in the post game the other night where he said, I think we can go and win it. I think we've made so many steps. I mean, why not just go ahead and do it with the way we've been playing the last couple months?
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
every season we get to this point, people are like, you got to get hot at the right time. And do we get hot at the right time? Maybe.
Also, as I said in the tweet about it, talking about, 7th place being a fair result, I can't imagine anyone really wants to play us right now. You're probably not going to score more than 1 goal against us. And we're going to turn it into a coin flip. We might win those coin flips. We might force our way in, especially if, we've been getting kind of close to these second goals a lot of games. It's not inconceivable that some of them start going. Yeah. I think also it would do a lot of good to like have a run, like to like win 1 or 2 games, even if we don't win the cup. Like, I think this is a case.
Set the tone for next year.
Yeah, this is a case where like that I think would make a real difference. Because like last year was so bizarre for so many reasons. One of them being Struber parachuting in for 1 game, and then we end up playing a game that on paper is kind of close, but not really. But like we end up losing to the team who won the cup. And it's kind of similar to 2017, maybe, where you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe we were not one of the worst teams in the playoffs. Like, maybe we're okay. But it's very unsatisfying. You just go one and done in that kind of way, even if you lose to the person who won the cup. For this one, it's like, I think that would be very annoying, a way to be sitting here next March being like, well, I don't know, like, the team was showing promise. Like, let's I'd rather be asking myself next March, like, did that team overperform when they made it to the finals and won it, It would be very funny.
I'm with Cork. It would be so funny if we won. It would be so... I think it'd be really funny.
I think the banter would be off the charts.
It would be very banter if we won.
Yeah. I was just looking it up. It looks like Philly hasn't allowed more than 1 goal at home since May.
It's going to be a real bruiser.
Lucky for us, we play a lot of 1-0 games. So I like our chances in that sense.
I need a replacement cup. What better to do it with than the MLS Cup?
Wow.
Right.
They'll give it to you personally.
I mean, the lore is so strong at this point that,
They know.
Yeah.
The team knows.
Exactly.
Are we going? We going to this game?
I think so.
Yeah, let's do it. Can you get a car?
We'll see. We'll figure it out.
I'm trying to figure out, does anyone know is there extra time in playoffs? Okay, last year there was extra time. And I assume if last year's COVID thing had extra time, we're probably going to do extra time again. So theoretically, we could be playing a lot of extra time this playoff run.
Oh,
Things
yeah.
go well.
We'll play a lot of extra time.
But I wonder who do you think our penalty takers are? Klimala?
Carmona,
Really?
probably, if he's on the field.
I think CCJ probably takes one.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
him too.
You know who I don't want taking one?
Oh, you know who?
Clark. I don't know. Doesn't give me good
Yeah, I
energy.
see what you mean. Duncan too.
Yeah. Definitely.
Davis, though, Davis can take one.
I feel like
I bet Goodman takes a good one.
I was just saying,
I feel
Nealis
like
probably takes a good one
Yearwood
too.
probably takes a solid one.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Come on.
Cornell.
I was thinking.
I could see Cornell being like 6th or 7th on the list. Maybe not like 1 or 2.
I feel like Reyes would be pretty high.
Yeah,
he's got like a pretty strong foot.
Yeah, Reyes might roof it though. Or
Yeah,
might
no,
throw it over,
he'd be higher than you'd expect, and he'd miss. I think
Sean Nealis, I think, would go like 10th, but just like take a surprisingly good one. He's like,
Right.
"What? I just didn't think about
just
it."
no nonsense.
Yeah, it's like
burns a hole in the net, just like.
Oh, I bet Tolkien takes good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel a little shaky though. I feel like he
I could
I think
see
he'd get a
him-
little nervous.
Yeah,
I could see him just being like, "Oh, I'm good at this. I'm going to try to pull off the best penalty of all time.
That's true.
And then,
there was a moment in the Atlanta game that it kind of, it got posted and like got mildly viral or whatever, but where he did like a spin move on a guy that was a little more than the moment asked for and kind of threw him off his run.
I feel like the second touch he took, I think he burst past him with one skill move. And
right. It was a good first dribble.
And then his second skill move took him back to his defender. And I was like, oh, okay.
But yeah, like that being kind of a microcosm, I think, of what you're talking about with his approach. But yeah.
But I feel also, I mean, Cornell, I mean, oh my God, if there's another Montreal like incident with Cornell and penalties and a penalty shot this offseason,
there
fucking
unequivocally will be. It's going to be a disaster. Maybe not for us, but in this playoffs, they're guaranteed at least one disaster VAR situation.
They've really been racking them up the last few weeks, so yeah.
Well, there was like the no VAR thing with RSL and SKC.
Right, yeah.
I never
you all
got
see
around to
that?
watching that. No.
What the fuck? It like hit the defenders. It went off Glad's, the defender for RSL's hand in the box. Should have been like a super clear penalty. Espinoza.
And the refs like apologized for it.
See, the one in Orlando that I mentioned earlier, that's a case where I'm like, God, just go with the call on the field on that one. That one is so like, it's, maybe it's going to be a natural part of it where somebody's going to complain after, but that's kind of just part of sports at a certain level. Like, watching that in HD a million times over, it's like not bringing any clarity to anyone. Some of this
what happened exactly?
It was like there was a shot on goal. I think it was off a free kick or something, and then it got saved and was bouncing straight back. And a Orlando player and a Nashville player were both racing for it. Arrived right at the same time, but both kicking their legs for it. And the Orlando player just like, while trying to kick the ball, hit the back of the calf of the Nashville player, knocked him over, and then in the ensuing scrum, Orlando scored. And then they looked at the slow-mo replay, and they were like, oh, that was a foul. Or I'm like, I mean, I don't know. Just if you don't want to get scored on, just don't get scored on. Like, I don't know. Like, just be a little faster.
Just get good.
Yeah, just get good. Exactly. But are we going to win?
Why not?
How are we going to win?
I want us to win 1-0 all the way to the cup.
I have a hunch. After all this chatter, we might just win 2-0.
Well, maybe we could, but I'm gonna say we win a nervy 1-0 in regular time.
All right.
Yeah, that's it. Straightforward.
Any other calls? Any other predictions?
Yeah, I don't fucking know. Yes, we advance. I don't know how though. I think if anything it'd be 1-1. And we would get a result either in extra time or in some PK shit show.
I like the 1-0 Catenaccio through the whole playoffs plan. It's got to be a plan. You have to plan before the game how many goals you score. And I think only scoring one goal per game is a pretty solid one to stick with.
Yeah, and if we score too early, Gerhardt's going to be like, guys, we scored. We've got to keep the energy a little lower for the rest. So
dial back.
Anybody have any calls for the other games? Any other ventures for we got Sydney and Atlanta?
I don't want to think about that game.
Right, fair enough.
Has City won a playoff game yet?
I think
they won a series yet.
Not a series. No, I don't think so.
Didn't they win a single game a year or two ago? I think they won a play-in single game a year or two ago.
Okay.
I think they ruined it. But okay, how about Nashville, Orlando? That's a little less fraught.
I wanted Orlando to win that.
Nashville's gonna win that.
Yeah, I have a feeling Nashville's
I'm rooting for Orlando.
Yeah, but I want Orlando to win that.
Yeah.
The West.
Sure.
Who gives a fuck? Who are these guys?
Yeah, who made it in the West?
I'm very amused that Portland's
RSL,
abbreviated as PTI for some reason.
It's like RSL, Vancouver, Minnesota, Portland, Seattle, SKC, and Colorado.
Yeah, let's go Colorado. Colorado CCL mainstays.
Listen, that would be just 1-0 wins for us, 1-0 wins for them all the way through, and then we just have clash of titans.
Us in Colorado would probably be the most banter MLS Cup final.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I want now.
I would go
to Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
It's isn't their field like in the middle of nowhere?
I don't know. I'll bring my skis.
Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
We can go skiing.
Yeah, I guess.
All right, let's do it. It seems like Foot Mob, who never makes a mistake ever, seems to also be interpreting it as there being no reseeding. And if that's true, we play the winner of Nashville and Orlando,
which is awesome.
So,
I think that's kind of
fucking have a go.
Yeah. Love that.
We're due for an epic Orlando meeting in the playoffs, I think, even more than meeting City.
This is gonna be our first match. Is gonna be, I don't know, who did England play first knockout? I feel like they won like a 1-0, 2-0 game.
In the Euros?
Yeah, and the next game was like 4-0. That's gonna be us beating Nashville or Orlando, and then we'll get to the final and it'll be a little closer. And this time we'll actually win it, unlike England in the end. But
that's the plan.
It's gonna happen.
Football's coming home.
All right, I guess we'll see everyone in Philly if you're gonna be there. Bye.
It's Alex!